Welcome to Ngosi Talk Shows. Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Challenges we have had to overcome in 2020.
Find your own voice.
The world has become united by the unseen, knowing there are no guarantees for tomorrow.
Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Let the world hear your voice and be filled within.
For the day has come for you to be a great leader.
The time has come to break away from the pain, distraction, experience the unthinkable.
For the day has come for you to be a great leader. Welcome to Ngosi Talk Show, everyone. Over to you, Claudia. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
For sure. Hello and welcome everyone. And greetings from London, the UK. I'm Claudia Pruscher and I'm a certified Theta healer. Theta healing is a beautiful energy healing modality which gives us a set of tools where we can identify our self-limiting beliefs so that we can change them and delete them and cancel them out and bring in new empowering beliefs. Basically, as well, when you change how you think and what you believe, you do different actions in your life, and because of this, you create new results. So that's me. Over to you, Kamal.
Thank you, Claudia, very much, and Nomsa, and everybody who is watching, welcome to Ngosi Talk Show. Wherever you may be in this world, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And in this world, have you thought about what this life is and what it means? You might call it raison d'être, you might call it ikigai or purpose. In average, 90% of people live their lives not questioning their existence, not looking for growth, and living life as it has been given to them. Sometimes actually they live with a feeling of being lost and not knowing where to go next. If you are one of those people, if you feel that you are stuck in a hamster wheel, always grinding, always running around with no sense of direction, with a lack of fulfillment and belonging in your life. My name is Kamal Amer, and I'm a certified NLP trainer, master practitioner, hypnotherapist, and a life purpose specialist. With a combination of ancient Egyptian wisdom and neurolinguistic programming, I can help you create a foundation to a life of harmony, balance, and purpose. Over to you, Nomsa.
Thank you so much, Kamal. So our topic today is let go of old stories, rewrite your new story. So over to you, Claudia. Please, can you explain the topic to our audience?
Yeah. Well, actually, as well, first of all, I would like us all to remember or to think of a baby. You know, a baby, when a baby is newborn and in this world, and a baby knows exactly its own self-worth and self-esteem and what it needs and everything. So it doesn't have any issues in regards to, how do you say, the blocks or the limitations on it. It just tells you, it cries if it's hungry, if it has pain or something. So it's like, and this is actually a beautiful state to be in, but what happens usually as well, then we grow up and we get the limitations as well from the world. It can be the family or the teacher, the people around us, at work as well. So that's the thing, how it develops its life. So we grow up and we get the blocks and the limitations, and this is how we change and get create actually who we think or are supposed as well to be in like 10, 20, 30 years time. How do you rate, what do you think about this, Kamal? Just like the beginning.
Well, it's a nice start. I mean, we have different opinions and of stories and what we've been giving and the life we have and what it is, right? I agree with you, by the way, just to make sure that there's no confusion there. Throughout our life, especially in that childhood, we are very pure. And in that beginning, right? And with parents, family members, society, there is a constant conditioning that causes us to change and be, well, and in a sense, be adapted to the environment that we're in. And the stories we live growing up shape us. They create in our mind and in our life as well, the life that we are currently in. So that's kind of what I would like to add to that, because it's, I mean, if we are going to talk about how we change our story, how the old stories affect us, how they are, what they mean to us. But first we have to understand, as they say, you have to know where you come from in order to know where you're going. And the problem with that as well is that people, they tend to stay either too long in their past or they stay too long in their future. And the present state, which is needed to do the change required, they forget about that. So I think I'll leave that as a starting point, adding on to yours there, Claudia, and give it over to Nomsa. I want to hear what she has about this. You're muted.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kamawa. I think I agree with you, and I also agree with Claudia. The stories that we tell ourselves sometimes can be dangerous. The reason why I'm saying can be really, really dangerous is if you look at yourself, like what Claudia was saying, when you are a child, everything is fascinating when you look at it. When you look at life, you want to crawl, you will try to crawl. A child will try to crawl until they get to where they need to go, until they get it right. They'll try different things, whatever the journey that they're doing. But then when you are an adult, whatever you do in that moment, it will shape how your life becomes, or the stories, your thoughts, your mind, everything that you do, the society, like what Kamal was saying, that there are some people basically that the society, people, they live by what the society says, what the social media says, what the news says. So, but sometimes it can be dangerous. The reason why I'm saying it can be dangerous is there are some people who have not followed their dreams. There are some people who are living in broken marriages because they feel shame of getting out or rewriting their story. There's some people that are in the wrong jobs because they are scared of trying new things. If I leave my job, I won't be able to support myself. There's all sorts of different things that are going on earth. So the question now is, how do you rewrite your story? Sometimes, like myself, I'm going to put an example with myself. When I was growing up, I had loving parents, step parents, and my parents. But there was some attachment that basically the story that I saw and the story that affected me, there was a good story, there was a story that affected me, which I decided. My parents tried their best to raise me, but when I was older, I decided to see the story how I wanted to see it. And that point of view affected my life until I opened my eyes and I said, I need to rewrite it. But how I'm rewriting now, I see my life as a beautiful blessing that I was given by God. But before, I wouldn't see it that way. So over to you, Claudia.
Absolutely. Yes. How are we rewriting it? And I like to remind you as well, once again, that we are the co-creator of our lives. It is us and no one else as well. So we are here. Obviously, we have like certain important, how do you say, like lessons or people we are supposed to meet in the universe will always guide us into the direction, because it's going to be like a major learning for us. But in between, we have free play, and the universe wants us as well to create as much beauty and abundance as much as we like in this lifetime. So basically as well, yeah. So actually as well, a tool I am using sometimes with my clients. So basically as well, if you think of a story, the current story of you, it can be anything in any area of your life. If you basically think of that story, so you are in the cinema, first row, and you have a screen in front of you. So you have the current version of you, no matter which part of your life. And then I ask my clients to think at the same screen, to rewrite the story. Just think of you and how you would love to be in this area or part in your life. So it can be as beautiful as you like to be. And then I ask them, so which version do you prefer, the current one or the new one? And obviously a lot of them, they prefer the new version. And then what happens as well, this, because we can always choose. We have the freedom to choose each time as well how we are going to react, and the decisions and the actions as well we take in our life. So, and this exercise just needs a bit of practicing, because obviously we will come back to the current version, and then we are again at this time state where we just have to be reminded or remind us to choose the new version, yeah, which we created already in our mind. It's just a bit practicing until it becomes a bit more aware and a habit. How do you like that tool, Kamal?
Well, it's an NLP tool.
Okay, I see. Okay, okay.
Well, it's a different version, but I can't say it's an NLP tool. There's a very similar version when it comes to NLP. And it's very nice to future pace, to think about what you want to do in your future, how you want it to be, compare it to what you are doing. And that's, you are absolutely correct. That helps a lot. I believe, of course, before we reach that stage, one has to know what they want in their life. One has to be ready for change. One, like you said, you have to choose, right? And since that for me is kind of like a big goal, it's a big vision, there are shorter and smaller steps that one can go through first in order to reach that ultimate goal, like certain behaviors that we have, right? And before we come to how to change that story, because that story is the past, there's nothing to change about it. It has been there with the trauma, with the pain, with the hurt, with the suffering, with the losses. Everything is there, or it was there, right? Now, the change that we want is not to be confined to that conditioning that we've had based on life, based on people, based on all of the events in our life. Then we have to think again that without these events, one would not be where one is at this specific moment. So I'll give you an example, right? At the very beginning of my divorce, I thought, oh man, I wish I had never married that woman, right? But if I wouldn't have married her, I wouldn't have had my kids. Mm-hmm. If I wouldn't have gone through that suffering, through that experience, I wouldn't have grown. If I wouldn't have had that, all of these years that I spent, some of them good and some of them not so good, it wouldn't have shaped me the way I am shaped today. I would have been completely a different person, and life would have led a completely different life. So whatever happens in our life is not bad in essence. There's nothing in our life that happens that is bad. And I'm talking from, it's a very general thing and people might not like it, but I'm talking death, loss, murder, going to hospitals, being persecuted in any way or form. Anything that happens to our life that we consider harsh and bad, between quotation, in essence, it isn't bad. It is just a situation that can lead us to becoming who we are, or that has led us, right? Now, that doesn't mean I disagree with that I agree with oppression. It doesn't mean that I agree with harm being done to people and all of that. It just means that nothing in life is bad. Nothing that happens to us is bad or is wrong or is evil, right? It all happens for a reason. And that reason is that we can bear that, and we either choose to grow because of it, or we choose to be the victim because of it. And unfortunately, a lot of people choose the victim side because it's so much easier than to work and understand the message of what happened, to understand why one has gone through that pain, right? Remember, pain is real, suffering is optional. And some people, unfortunately, choose to suffer for a very, very long time. Now, with all that being said, the question is, do you want to grow? The choice that you were talking about now. Are you ready to take all that experience that you've had in life and make it worth the time that you have existed? Make it worthy of something that can shape you into a person that you feel comfortable with? Or are you going to let it control your life and the story that's being written? So I think that's the first part before going into how to change the future or change the story.
Wow, that is so much pain to come out. If I wasn't into personal development, I'll be getting scared right now. Pain is real.
Why get scared? Pain is real, right? You get hurt, but you choose to suffer through it for as long as you want to, right?
That is so true. Pain is real. I think the suffering, basically, I think we cage ourselves, which it becomes a suffering. So we have a choice to actually break away from that suffering or to stay in that cage. Because like Kamal, you're saying, every story, every part that we take, every step that we take, there's the behavior you have to write in your story. Your behavior has to align with the story that you write. Your character has to align with the story that you write. The event, what do they teach us? They teach us a lesson, obviously. Like when I was saying, when I was young, when I was older, I started looking at the event in my own story, which is the story that was affecting me. But what I didn't realize is God had a purpose. If I had grew up, I was the youngest with my parents when they divorced. Now I'm looking back, my mom and my dad, they were both loving parents. If I had grew up with them, I think they would have spoiled me too much, because I'm close to my dad, I'm close to my mom. And I look at my life the way it is now, and I thank God now that I'm into personal development, that I thank God that my father raised me. Because when he raised me to become who I wanted to become. So when I visit my mom and my stepdad, there was some other things that they were teaching me as well. My stepdad was teaching me to become who I become. But these people, they were two different people with two different gen. And when I began my journey to say, this is the path that I want to take, my stepdad was there to say, I will sponsor you with whatever you want to do. Tell me your dream. I'll hold your hand and I'll sponsor you financially. And my dad would have not been able to afford it, but these families were put in my path. for me to help me get to where I needed to go. But at that moment, I decided to write the story that I wanted in my head. It was when I got into personal development that I started realizing actually I was very lucky that my parents divorced. This story that has been written, I would not have written this story. Maybe I would have gone to a different country instead of coming to United Kingdom. Maybe I would have become a doctor in Africa or a solicitor. I wouldn't have had this life that I have here. My life would have been completely different if my parents had stayed together. But we don't see life that way. We see the story that we choose is different. But then when I realize with my story, like what Kamalu was saying, I had to sit down and say, Nomsa, this behavior that you are creating is not going to take you where you need to go. Because the behavior that I was taking, I was starting to blame my family for splitting up my parents in my head. But I was happy. Then I had to make sure that my behavior aligned with what I needed to do. And then I had to change my character to make sure that my character was always fine, but I had to stay focused to where I needed to go, change my character, fix my character and my image. I was a follower and stop being a follower. Everybody tells me, Nomsa, do this, I go and do it. Everybody says, let's go, let's do this, I do it. Everyone says, Nomsa, this is not right, I listen. But I wasn't listening to me. I was being a follower and dragging myself to different places. And my character had to reflect the journey that I needed to take, which is changing my life, starting my business, and understanding that whatever the path that I'm taking is not going to be easy. I'm going to have to stay focused, and I'm going to have to find the right people that think like me to get to where I need to go. So that's how I rewrite my story. And it didn't end there. I'm still rewriting it now. Over to you, Claudia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's an ongoing process. And the thing is as well, it can be just that easy for us to make the conscious decision to be fed up with something in our life, to be the victim all the time, or to attract the so-and-so man all the time, just to be fed up with it, and that it can be that easy. Something else as well in regards to the life and the challenges and the pain and so on. Obviously as well, if we have a belief inside of us that life is pain or is hurtful, or sometimes as well people attract the drama because they believe they need the drama in regards to grow, but actually for the soul is no difference if you grow through the good or the bad experiences. As long as you grow and you learn your lessons, but there's no difference for the soul. So it would be good as well to have your beliefs in alignment in regards to life has challenges, or life is an adventure, versus life is painful, or life is hard. If you think about these beliefs, what do you think you are attracting outside in your world? Actually as well, Kamal, I wanted to ask you, with this tool I was explaining earlier, the example, what happens in the brain if when clients of us apply this tool, going to the future, seeing themselves being, the version they love to be, in regards to the future aspect?
Yeah.
What happens in our brain?
Okay, so this is a very interesting question, because the brain sometimes doesn't understand the difference between a dream and a reality.
Yeah.
So if there was several, for instance, tests, and it's not research, there were tests and practices that were done. It was done with a group of basketball players, right? And they made them practice for a whole week shooting hoops, right? I think it was about 5 or 6 hours per day. And they got another group of players, but they only made them visualize shooting and scoring the hoop, shooting and scoring the hoop, and they continuously did that. The interesting result was the players that visualized it would score better than the ones that practiced. So yes, it might sound a little bit crazy, it might sound a little bit out there, it might sound a little bit that doesn't make sense, but no, it is. I'm sorry, there's weird lighting here. So that's what happens with the brain, right? And the brain wants to take the easiest way to solve the problem that they have. And when you do that exercise, it's almost like you're creating a shortcut. You're creating a memory that wants to, almost like what's it called? A self-fulfilling prophecy. And that's what you're doing to yourself. This is why lots of speakers and coaches, and they say, remember the, what's it called? I keep forgetting what it's called. You know, these mantras that you tell yourself in the morning, like positive affirmations. Yes, positive affirmations. That's it. Thank you. Right? There's a reason behind that, because you repeat it often enough, you'll start believing it. If you start believing it, it becomes part of you, right? So that's to answer your question about what happens in the brain. But yeah, and I was going to comment on what you were talking there about, like the changes that we want in our life. I many people have said that, right? You can either choose to be a character in the book of your life, or you can choose to be the narrator of the story, the one that writes the book, the one that holds the pen. Yes, it is sometimes difficult. Yes, we sometimes believe we have no choice, but we always have a choice. Not making a choice is a choice in itself.
Exactly. I say the same. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So, and unfortunately, a lot of people do that. They say, "No, I have no choice," and they don't make a choice. It's still a choice.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what happens, and that's exactly what Nomsa was saying, right? She changed her behaviors, she changed her beliefs. You wanted to adjust these things, and I've done the same thing throughout my life, right? I failed several times at school, even though I used to be an A student, but I decided not to study enough, and I failed. And then I failed again. And then I got moved from one school to a different school because I kind of kicked out, right? But in that new school, I decided that I would work, and I became better, and I became that good student again, right? And then I failed at entering university the first time, and the second time, and a third time. Why? Because there were things that I wasn't passionate about, things that I didn't want to study. I just wanted to do it because society requires us to have a degree, or it's just it's easier to get a job when you have a university degree. Well, I didn't go to university. I didn't finish university, and I started working. And I pushed myself, and I wrote the story, and I said, no, I am going to make it without a certificate. And I reached good position, leadership position, managerial positions, all of that without a university degree. Why? Because I decided to take control over the life that I wanted, exactly like Nomsa was talking about, right? I have been challenged. I have been talked down upon because I don't have a university degree, but that does not matter. Right? Again, that's the story that you choose either to tell yourself or choose to live by based on society. A few years later, I decided to study coaching. I decided to study neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP. I decided to study hypnotherapy. And I went into these studies and I pushed myself. And guess what? It worked out for me. This time it worked out because I was ready to do the studies, because I wanted to do that. Had this come in my life 10, 15, 20 years ago, maybe I wouldn't have been ready. So the change in the behavior, it comes once you decide, that choice that you make that we were talking about, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kamal. I agree with you when you say someone who visualize they do better than someone who is actually done the training, who do the training. Because basically, if you are doing sports or whatever you're doing, you have to do both. You have to do practice. You have to visualize yourself going through the process of whatever you want to achieve. And visualizing, it does help a lot because when we talk about rewriting our story, there was a time where I think it was 2015 or 2016. I was rewriting my own story, and looking at my life, telling myself that I'm a Christian, but there are so many things that don't represent me as a Christian. There are so many things that I say I'm this, they don't represent. So I was like rewriting every step. Like Kamal, you were talking about step by step. And when I was writing the story, my life was fine when I wasn't rewriting my story. But when I began to rewrite my story, there was a drama everywhere. When I mean drama, it means everywhere I turn, with my in-laws, with my this, there was drama. Until I was like, when you say the mind, when you talk about the mind, I was like, hey, this is the choice that I have decided to rewrite my story, but I'm seeing drama everywhere. This has never happened to me. Then I was like, it can either be I'm going crazy or everyone around me, they have gone bonkers. So when I began to stop and visualize, now I was confronting what was going on. So I was confronted by something else, the truth, that this is what is going on. But that was the choice. Remember, that was the choice that I had decided that I'm going to face. I will need a change in my life. So when I was faced, the drama, it revealed what was going on in my life because of the choices that I've made. So I began to actually ask my pastor, and I was like, there's so much going on. And it was like, what did you do that changed everything, Nomsa? What did you decide to do? What is the cause? Can you tell me the roots? What did you do? So I started telling him, this is what I decided to change. This is what I decided to change. This is what I decided to change. So he began to say, okay, welcome to the world. This is the real world. You talk about God, you talk about this to people, but this is the real world that you are facing. But now you're going to have to decide the choices that you want to make. Is it reality that you're seeing, or is not reality? I began to see that was the reality of the choices that I've made. And basically, I decided to continue because the drama was to stop me going forward. Not because of people, but because of the choices that I have decided to make. So I had to, and for me to stop that, I had to use love to say, I'm going to keep loving until I get there. When I decided to love, when I decided to keep my character, like what Kamal was saying, when I decided to actually self-awareness of my behavior towards people, and when people come to me, and because bear in mind, when people don't see who you are, when you are hiding your true self, and then by the time you try to get it out, people are going to get confused. So that was the situation. People got confused. The Nomsa that was quiet, the Nomsa that did not do nothing, now Nomsa is being a different person. People are like, hang on a minute, we're confused. That caused drama. You don't do this. You don't do this. So for me, instead of reacting with the drama, I had to react with love until people actually got to welcome my personality that was already there, welcomed my character that was already there, welcomed my behavior that was already there. that they didn't know anything about it.
I have to interrupt you here. I'm sorry. You see, you keep saying the drama in your life, and that, again, of course, it might have been drama, obviously. However, when you say drama, you make a choice, a decision to not learn from the situation. You create that situation as a dramatic, as a between quotation negative. I don't like that, the negative part, saying negative or positive. And now you have chosen to make that story as a drama instead of taking it as as a message, as what can I learn from this situation?
Well, I was learning from it come out, but
I agree. I'm just saying, calling it drama in a sense is causing you to think of that situation as something bad, very, very narrow-mindedly, instead of looking from it as from a broad perspective and saying, "Ooh, this is an event that happened, which caused another event. I'm not comfortable with the second event, but what is that second event teaching me?" Right? So you see, now you've changed completely the way your brain is wired, talking to yourself, talking about the story that has been done to you, or that you've experienced, not done to you, that you've experienced. That helps you move faster into that new story that you want to change, into that new mentality that you want to have of the old stories, my life in the past. Yes, it has shaped me, but it's okay to forgive myself for whatever I've done, even whatever I haven't done. Because even the people in our life that have hurt us, wronged us in any sense compared to us, right? We have to forgive ourselves first before forgiving them, in order to be able to move away from that, from these stories, dramas, if you want to call them, events, whatever it is you want to call them. But that starts with that forgiveness for yourself. And a lot of people find it difficult to say, I forgive myself for not doing something. Because when
you don't understand, Kama, what I was saying. When I'm
understanding, I'm just saying calling it drama makes it dramatic. It's different.
When I'm calling it drama, come on, I'm saying it is, because at the time it was funny, it was drama, and because I didn't understand what is your mom was saying she doesn't have time to do this anymore because she gave her life to Jesus, she gave her life to God. And it was a time I did the same, but I didn't realize the cost. I didn't know the cost. How much is it going to cost me? And until everyone was like, what did you do to change? Because to me, it was a drama. The way I turned it was drama. But I was like, I've never been into this situation. And my pastor was like, okay, Nomsa, this is what you've done. Until when somebody, you're sitting down, you are expecting somebody to tell you a small thing, and they're like, this is the situation, this is the door that you have opened. And if you don't fight this door, you have two choices. You lose your life, or you survived because of the choices that you've made. And to me, I was like, so this is what it means, that for me, being a Christian and living sinning life behind, it was like, yes, that's what you've chosen. And he was like, but we're gonna, and I find myself him making phone calls for people to actually help me every day to understand the door that I had opened. But at the time, because I didn't have the knowledge, I described it as a drama. But at this time, I don't describe it as an event or as a drama. I describe it as an experience that I went through, and that was amazingly bonkers. And if that experience, if I didn't question it, I would have lost so many people, because people were showing me, people were showing me their real characters, who this character is. And I find my genuine people, friends and family, they never change their character. So I was seeing the different characters, but it was never about them. The case was about me, how I respond to them. They were not in the wrong, but I was being tested on how do I respond to them and how much do I say I want this. But for me, the response was to respond with love. Because I remember one day I called my friend, I was like, you've gone bonkers. What is going on? And she was like, have I? I don't think I've changed. I was like, yes, you have. And she was like, no, I don't think so. But then I realized that actually if I had it, like it's like a business. If you say you want to start a business and then you start it, things get tough. You have choices to move forward or to give up. So those were the choices for me. So I decided, okay, I'm going to experience this. And I remember telling my partner, and I was like, I'm never going to look you guys down. And I'm never going to, now basically I'm the first person to volunteer in my church because now I've realized what they go through, the spirituality. Claudia, I know you are into spirituality, but I say, hell no. That is the toughest thing I have ever experienced in my life. Over to you, Claudia.
Yeah, it was just beautiful. When you changed the wording in regards from shifting from the word drama to experiences, did you feel how it felt much lighter? Yeah, already. Yeah. So yeah, it's just like felt much more fun and lighter everything. So yeah, I quite enjoyed that. So yeah, how to change the story. So I would like to go back to this. So yeah, there actually as well a few tools. It depends in regards to what works for you. Journaling, for example, is a great tool. Personally, it's nothing for me, but like sit down as well, have the clarity in regards to what you would like to change and how you would like it to look like, and to get the clarity as well is very important in regards to what it is you want, because so often as well we focus on the things we don't want, and then guess what, you get more of the things you don't want. So clarity and focus on what it is you do want is very important. And something as well what I like to do is before I fall asleep or in the morning as well, after I wake up, I go into the area of my life I like to redefine, and I picture myself then, yeah, just like before I fall asleep and in the morning as well, how I would like it to be and to feel. I see myself in this new picture, in this new energy. Yeah, it's just as Kamal says as well, the brain doesn't understand the difference between it's just I'm thinking about it or actually it's really happening. So this is how I tune or get into the habit to prepare myself, you know, for the next step into the new story. Yeah.
It's a nice way of putting it, and it's definitely worth it. Doing that mindful of your day, being mindful of in the evening or before going to bed, just understanding, okay, where do I want to change? How do I want to change it? What behaviors do I have that are preventing me from becoming the person that I am? And these are lots of tools in all sorts of fields that one uses, and I love that. That's a very nice method to use. Of course, one of the important methods is really understand how you talk to yourself, right? I'm not just teasing you now, Nomsa, but for instance, you said, when I took the journey to spirituality, I didn't realize how hard or difficult it was going to be, right? I'm not using verbatim what you said, but in essence, this is what you said. However, from my perspective, if you take the spiritual world, it becomes so much easier. It doesn't become more difficult because everything.
I didn't know the price. I didn't know the price to pay.
No, it's not that you didn't know. It's that you were waiting to understand the price. You wanted to know the price. However, when you go into that spiritual realm, understanding that being in that realm is the prize itself is much more important than the reward that you will get.
But the price was too much to bear, Kamal. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't realize the cost. The cost of it was like it was. I was facing the. I don't know. I was facing the sins of my ancestors, the sins of my parents, the sins of myself, and the cost was too much to bear. So that's what I mean by that. The cost was too much to bear because of the decision that I've made. But when I made a decision, there is a difference between a reality and reading a book. There's a difference when a coach has read a book and they become that. But there is a difference when you've gone through divorce, you've experienced it, and you've gone through the pain, and you've decided to divorce the suffering and take the glory. So there's a difference between that. There's some people that read books about divorce, they go to school, they decide to coach in that department. But there's a difference between when I read the Bible about the story of this, and then I find myself in reality with that story. So that's what I'm meaning, that the price was too much for me to bear. I'm not gonna lie, and because I'm not gonna tell anyone. And you see, I have to speak the truth in case someone decided to make that choice. So the price was too much to bear for me as a human being. But when I go into the other side of conquering the price that I had to pay, it felt like Nomsa was the child that I left behind. The Nomsa as a child that I left behind, I was united with her.
And that's, you see, and exactly that's it, right? The price. And every choice that we make in life has a cost, right? If I were to tell you now, I have a position for you now in the middle of Paris and the 15th or 20th floor with a view of the Seine, and you've got your own car and your own housing and all of that. But there's a price for that to pay. You have to work from, let's say, 12 hours a day, and you won't be able to see your daughters, or you'll be able to see them maybe once a month. The choice is still yours, because every choice that we make in life has a price. It has a cost, okay? Not necessarily price, because when you think of price, you think of money, but it has a cost. Are you capable of withstanding the cost? Are you able to bear that cost in compared to what you want to achieve? Or are you not? The choice again is yours. Otherwise, somebody else will make the choice for you, right? And that again, you made that choice for yourself to move, to change, to become somebody else. Had you gone through life without making these choices, people, society, and others would have chosen your path for you. You wouldn't have been in control. And that's what I like about this discussion about the old stories. And no, do not forget the old stories. Remember them and understand them. Understand the messages that are in your life. I don't like the saying, forgive and forget. Because if you forget, you don't learn. You'll make the same bloody mistake again. Forgive, remember, but don't bring it up again. That's how it means you've forgiven, right? Changing these stories that you tell yourself. There's nothing to change about the past. They have been there. They happened to you. The only difference is that you only know one side of the story, your side of the story. You don't know the other person's side of the story. You don't know what happened to the other people that were there and how it went or what happened in their mind. So it is your reality. It is what you see from your perspective. So there's nothing to change about it, rather accepting it. Changing the narrative, that leads into changing the narrative, right? Because the narrative now is you understand your past, you understand the stories that happened to you based on your perception, based on your understanding of your world. You are ready for change. You are ready to take control over life. But at the same time, since Claudia is here and you're a Christian and I'm in the spiritual world as well, I will say if you are part of the spiritual world, you need to understand what surrender is. Surrendering, whether it's God or the universe or the energies around, understanding that surrender is not losing. Surrender is knowing deep down inside your heart that everything that happens to you is for your own benefit, even if you don't want to believe it. And as harsh as it may sound to people that are going through family members that are very sick, family members that died, whether it's of COVID, cancer, any diseases, whatever happened in your life and in theirs is for a better reason. And that's how I see the world and how I would love for others to understand it. And that's the true surrender. That's when you know that your life, it's okay what happens. Everything is good. What do you think, Claudia?
You nearly made me cry. Honestly, when you said whatever decision you make, if you don't make a choice, someone else will make a choice, and that choice is yours. But if you don't make it, someone will make it. You nearly made me cry.
Oh.
Because I know that there are some people that they have never made their own choices in life. They let other people make their own choices. And when we talk about spiritually, that is the same thing that I faced. But because I asked a very, very honest person to actually, I don't know why I asked this person, and they were honest. And I realized that all my life I've been with the pastors that basically were not honest with who I was. And when this person actually opened up and said, Nomsa, this is who you are. I'm not going to here to rob you your choice, your gift that you've been given by God. But I'm here to guide you. The choice now, like what Kamal is saying that, and he was like, the choice now that you need to make is, are you willing to survive for it? Are you willing to accept it? Because the people that you've been working with, they've been actually trying to destroy you. So, and then I was like, what do you mean by that? And it was like, he gave me a scripture to actually go and read. And it was like, here's the scripture, go and read the scripture about Pharaoh's story. Here's what your life story has been. So when you are ready, you want to make a choice, your own choice, I'm ready to help you. And this person has been sticked with me since 2016 until today. And I thought it was going to be easy, spirituality, getting into spirituality and being honest and living that character. But it has been tough, because there's been so many times where my life has been tested, my character has been tested. And I had to basically, how am I living by my character is to actually go back. There's some things that I've written down to go back and read them. And that helps me to actually stay focused, stay on track. So that's why I'm saying you nearly made me cry. Claudia, you're muted. Unmute yourself, please. Can't hear you. What have you done?
No.
No, come out. Do you want to speak until she sorts herself out?
Yeah, no, it's like, let's see, Magwale, I often ask myself, how do I forgive the people who caused me pain when the pain is still so intense? And that's, again, we'll come back, I'll answer that. You don't start by forgiving people. You start by forgiving yourself. Forgive yourself first for not knowing what to do. Forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know back then to help yourself. Only when you forgive yourself can you start forgiving others. And that's my word to you. Are you back with us, Claudia? Oh, I can still not hear you.
Nope.
No, it decided to stop.
Do you want to come out and come back, Claudia?
Yeah, exactly. Go out and come back again. So yeah, I'll keep on this so that there's a deeper answer. In the scriptures of religion, in spirituality, it is said that you have to forgive yourself first in order for the universe or God to forgive you. It doesn't work the other way around. And that's the same thing when it comes to us as humans. Forgive yourself for your learning perspective, for your failures, which I don't believe in because it was your first time doing it. Forgive yourself for having only the knowledge that you had back then to deal with the situation how it was. Forgive yourself for not knowing what to do and not handling it better. Once you have truly forgiven yourself over all these things, you can let go and really forgive others. Are you back, Claudia? No, I can't. We can't hear you still. This is a pity.
Can't hear you, Claudia.
That's all right. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kamal. In order for you to forgive someone, you have to forgive yourself, because if you are guilty inside, there is no way that you can forgive someone. So you need to forgive yourself for holding that forgiveness, because what I always say is whatever we do in life for somebody to hate us, there is somebody, we contribute something in there. Why do I say there is something that we contributed? Following your dreams, that is contributing for somebody to be jealous of you, to actually start changing their behavior. Being handsome, being beautiful is a contribution. So you have to forgive yourself and say, the reason why I'm saying when I open the door, you know, when you're growing up, when I was growing up as a child, every journey that I was going through, the bit by bit, I decided to go into every route and forgiving myself using a Paul McKenna's program, which is NLP, visualizing in front of the mirror, coming face to face in front of the mirror with somebody that has hurt me, and telling them that I forgive you, and telling myself that I forgive myself, because of me letting go of that pain. When you hold the pain, you are bringing energy after energy, energy after energy. That's why they say unforgiveness is cancer. So you have to learn to forgive yourself, because we are human.
And it's not only about forgiving the guilt, because you were talking about guilt. It's not about guilt itself. It's just being able to forgive yourself for even the things that you didn't do, because you don't know. Like, there's the saying, right? You only know what you know right now. You can't know more than what you know now, right? And back then when that story happened, that event, whatever it is that you are holding a grudge for, that you want revenge, that you are angry about, that you're not forgiving somebody. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Holding a grudge or not forgiving someone it's as if you were pouring poison into a cup to kill somebody, but you drinking the poison instead. They don't give a rat's bum about you not forgiving them. They don't care. You are the one that is holding that grudge. You are the one that is angry. You are the one that is causing yourself to suffer for as long as you want to. because you don't know how to forgive yourself, because you don't know how to say, you know what, I did that and that's the best I could do back then. It's not their fault, even if it is somebody else's fault. Just forgive yourself. There's no point carrying on that. It's funny because like it happens a lot with divorced couples, right? And I've seen it with some of my clients. They come and it's like, but he is doing this and she is doing that. It's like, you divorced them, right? Yeah. Why do you care? Because it's not right. It's not your business. Let them be. Let them be, right? And whether they're doing something right or wrong, it's not up to us to judge them, right? When you have kids, yes, it's sometimes more difficult because you fear for your children's life. You fear for what is good. Go to court. Make it easy on yourself. There's no point being angry at somebody or not forgiving somebody when they couldn't give a rat's ass about you. They don't care. They don't know that you're not forgiven them. They don't know that. Why are you carrying it inside of you and causing yourself to pain and suffering? And again, that is causing your life, your story to be written that way, in that angry, festering place where you are just, it's ugly. Let go. That's how you rewrite your story. That's how you change the narrative of your story. That's how you become that new person that you alone want to be proud of. You alone want to admire. You alone feel is the right place to be. You alone see as being successful in the way that you decide and choose it to be. Not anybody else, not your parents, not your children, and not society. So before because we're reaching the end now, the final words I want to leave you with today is the words of Eckhart Tolle from A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose. To recognize one's own insanity is, of course, the arising of sanity, the beginning of healing and transcendence. Change insanity with pain in your life, change insanity with unforgiveness, change insanity with anger, whatever you want it to be. The truth is recognizing what you've been through, understanding it. It is the start of that healing process. And once you have started that healing process, make the choice to change.
Thank you, Kamal. And also, I'm going to add a little bit. Sometimes the person that is hurting you, they might be the one that are hurting. In psychology, they say you have to look at someone's behavior. When you see someone's behavior, you have to look at the roots. It might be them, they have a problem, and that problem is actually hurting you as a person. They are coming to hurt you because of what they are going through. So what you do is you don't make an excuse for them. You don't hold unforgiveness for them. You release them. You love them from the distance. No, basically, you don't forget the event. For me, when I forgive someone, I forget everything, the event that has been done, but I don't forget the picture of the person, and I use the event, although I forget it, I use them for my strength, for the outcome, whatever I learn from it. That's what I use for the event. So that is the story. That's how everything that I was going through when it comes to dating men, having heartbroken, when it comes to my parents, the divorcing, I used those events for me to rewrite my own story of love. because these people, they gave me strength to understand what love is about. I didn't know what love is about. They didn't know what love is about. I dated a man, they cheat on me, but if I didn't know, I'll hold that unforgiveness. But when I start looking back, something wasn't fulfilled in their lives. I was fulfilled because I didn't cheat on them, but they were not fulfilled. There was something that they thought they would get it by dating different women. So that's what I've learned. I've decided to learn that actually I am fulfilled when a man or a woman is fulfilled. They will love unconditional. They're not going to stay in a relationship for the sake of staying. You love unconditional. Allow yourself to receive. Allow yourself to give as a human being and enjoy that moment, because some people, we are all about achieving goals, but we've never, if you ask yourself now, Kamau, when was the last time you went to a jacuzzi and just run a bath and stay still for 10 minutes without moving, without thinking about phone calls? We don't do that.
I take a bath every week.
I mean, do you relax? Do you actually enjoy your bath, or you are like having a bath and out?
No, I relax in the bath. I have a bath once a week where I put salt and I sit down and I lay down and I put some Sadhguru in the background listening to him and I relax.
That's amazing. That's how life should be. I think we should reward ourselves. We don't do that. We focus on who has hurt us. And like Kamal was saying, these people don't really care about what they have done, because they're still hurting and they're still hurting other people. We are conscious of what we are doing because we are into personal development. We've realized the wrong and right. So it's very, very important to actually take good care of yourself and have that physical distance. There's some times where, like, sometimes I tell my children, switch off the TV and let's just have a quiet time at home without having TV, without having, or maybe just play or have music. So sometimes it's very, very important, like you was asking about forgiveness. Forgive yourself, put yourself first, have some fun. No, having fun is not about spending loads of money. It's about you having that awareness of the things that you love to do. It could be buying popcorn, watching the movie, most comedy movies. That you then have a lot of laughing and watching football. Like yesterday, there was football. Just doing once in a while, we're having fun. So anyway, Ngozi Talk Show, we are wrapping up now. We are here Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. UK time. If you are watching this later, please share, press some love heart button and share some love with your audience and your families. We love you. God bless you and live with grace. And remember to love you. Rewrite your own